Have you ever had that strange feeling? That voice in the back of your mind trying to tell you something? Maybe it shows up in your dreams, those recurring symbols that just won't go away. Or perhaps it's that inexplicable pull toward a path that seems completely irrational, yet you can't shake the feeling that it matters. Most of us brush these signs aside, calling them coincidences or random thoughts. But what if they're not random at all? What if I told you that these whispers from your unconscious mind aren't just meaningless background noise? They're actually a sophisticated map leading you to your true purpose? This isn't about mysticism or magical thinking. This is about the groundbreaking work of Jung, who discovered that your unconscious mind holds the blueprint for who you're meant to become. By the end of this video, you'll understand how to decode these messages that have been trying to reach you your entire life. And the final revelation? It's going to transform how you see yourself and your place in the world. Because the truth about your unconscious mind is both more powerful and more practical than anything you've been led to believe. But first, let me tell you about the moment I realized just how deep this rabbit hole goes. 3 years ago, I found myself in what Jung would call the dark night of the soul. I had achieved everything society told me would bring fulfillment: the prestigious career, the relationship, the carefully planned life. Yet something felt profoundly wrong. I kept having this recurring dream of being lost in a maze, desperately searching for something, but I had no idea what. My rational mind told me to ignore it, to push harder along the path I was on. But the dreams became more intense, more urgent. That's when I stumbled upon Jung's work on the unconscious mind. What he discovered was revolutionary. These dreams, these inexplicable feelings we get, they're not random neural firings or meaningless background noise. They're messages from a part of our psyche that sees the bigger picture of who we truly are and what we're meant to become. Think about it. How many times have you had a gut feeling about something that turned out to be right? How often have you ignored that inner voice, only to regret it later? Jung found that these aren't coincidences. Your unconscious mind is constantly processing millions of pieces of information that your conscious mind can't handle. It sees patterns you can't see, connections you can't make, at least not consciously. But here's where it gets really interesting. Jung discovered that your unconscious isn't just a passive recording system. It's actively trying to guide you toward what he called individuation, becoming your complete, authentic self. And the way it communicates? Through a sophisticated language of symbols, emotions, and what he called synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that seem to point you in a certain direction. The problem is, we've been trained to ignore these signals. We live in a world that worships rationality and dismisses anything that can't be immediately explained. But what if this approach is causing us to miss the very guidance we need most? The unconscious mind is far more powerful than most people realize. Think of your conscious mind as the tip of an iceberg, the small part you can see above water. But beneath the surface lies something vast and powerful, shaping every decision you make, every relationship you form, and every path you choose. Let me give you a concrete example. Have you ever met someone for the first time and felt an immediate, inexplicable sense of trust or distrust? Your conscious mind hasn't had time to analyze the situation, yet something deeper within you is already processing hundreds of subtle cues. Jung discovered that your unconscious mind picks up on patterns and details your conscious mind would never notice. But it goes even deeper than that. Your unconscious doesn't just observe, it creates. Those seemingly random daydreams, the unexpected ideas that pop into your head, the sudden urges to take a different route home, these aren't accidents. They're your unconscious mind attempting to communicate something vital about your path. Jung documented thousands of cases where people's dreams predicted future events or provided solutions to problems their conscious minds couldn't solve. One of his patients, a scientist, had been stuck on a complex chemical formula for months. Then one night, he dreamed of a snake eating its own tail, an ancient symbol known as the Ouroboros. When he woke up, he suddenly understood the circular nature of the chemical structure he'd been trying to decode. Now you might be thinking, that's just coincidence. But Jung found these coincidences happen far too often to be random. He called them synchronicities, meaningful coincidences that point towards something important. Like when you're thinking about making a major life change and suddenly everywhere you look, You see signs and symbols related to that decision. But here's where it gets really fascinating. Your unconscious mind isn't just trying to solve your immediate problems. It's attempting to guide you toward what Jung called your individuation. Think of it like this. Inside your psyche is a blueprint for who you could become, your fullest, most authentic self. Your unconscious mind is constantly working to help you realize that potential. The challenge is, most of us have been taught to ignore or dismiss these unconscious messages. We rationalize them away or push them aside because they don't fit our logical understanding of how things should work. But what if this dismissal is exactly what's keeping us stuck, preventing us from accessing the deeper wisdom within us? Because here's what Jung discovered that changes everything. And this leads us to something truly remarkable about how your unconscious mind shapes your destiny. But wait a moment. If your unconscious mind is this powerful, if it really holds the key to your destiny, then why do so many of us feel lost? Why do we struggle to find our purpose, to know which path to take? Here's what Jung discovered that most people never realize. The messages from your unconscious aren't always what you expect them to be. In fact, the very things you've been trying to ignore, suppress, or run away from, they might be the most important messages of all. Remember that scientist who solved his problem through a dream? Before that breakthrough, he'd been plagued by nightmares of failure, of being trapped in endless mazes. Most people would see these as negative experiences to be avoided. But those very nightmares were his unconscious mind preparing him for the revelation that would change everything. This brings us to something profound about how your unconscious communicates. Something that completely transforms how you'll see your struggles, your fears, and even your so-called flaws. Because what Jung discovered about the language of the unconscious will revolutionize how you understand yourself. You see, your unconscious doesn't communicate like your conscious mind does. It doesn't send neat logical memos saying, do this or go there. Instead, it speaks in a much more sophisticated language, a language of symbols, emotions, and what Jung called meaningful paradox. And once you understand how to decode this language, everything changes. Those recurring dreams that have been bothering you, those inexplicable feelings you can't shake, those patterns in your life that keep repeating, they're not random. They're not meaningless. They're actually, think of your unconscious mind as speaking an ancient language, one that predates words, one that communicates through images, feelings, and patterns. Just like you had to learn to read and write as a child, understanding this language requires learning a new kind of literacy. Let me show you exactly how this works. When I first started studying Jung's work, I kept having dreams about being in a house I'd never seen before, discovering new rooms I never knew existed. At first, I dismissed these dreams as meaningless. But Jung discovered that houses and dreams often represent our own psyche, and finding new rooms suggests discovering unknown parts of ourselves. Your unconscious speaks through 4 main channels, and once you understand them, you'll start seeing the messages everywhere. The first is through dreams. Not just nighttime dreams, but daydreams too. Every symbol in your dreams carries meaning specific to you. That recurring animal, that mysterious figure, they're aspects of your psyche trying to get your attention. The second channel is through emotions, particularly the ones that seem disproportionate to the situation. Have you ever had an emotional reaction that felt bigger than the event warranted? Jung found that these moments often signal where your unconscious is trying to show you something important about yourself. The third channel is through synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that feel somehow significant. Like when you're thinking about making a career change, and suddenly 3 different people mention job opportunities in that exact field. Your unconscious mind recognizes patterns your conscious mind might miss, and it uses these synchronicities to guide you. The fourth and most fascinating channel is through what Jung called active imagination, a state between meditation and daydreaming where you can actually dialogue with your unconscious. Imagine being able to have a conversation with those parts of yourself that usually communicate through dreams and symbols. But here's what makes this truly revolutionary. These aren't just random messages. They're part of a larger pattern, a story your unconscious is trying to tell you about your own journey. Jung discovered that every person's psyche is trying to move them toward what he called individuation, becoming who you truly are meant to be. Think about those moments in your life when you felt most alive, most authentically yourself. Those weren't accidents. They were glimpses of what your unconscious has been trying to guide you toward all along. And this brings us to something absolutely crucial about your own journey. This journey of understanding your unconscious isn't just theoretical. It's deeply practical and transformative. Let me share something that happened during my own exploration of Jung's work that changed everything for me. Remember those recurring house dreams I mentioned? Well, one night, instead of just observing the dream, I decided to try Jung's technique of active imagination. I sat quietly and visualized myself back in that house, but this time fully conscious. I started exploring those unknown rooms with purpose, asking what each one represented. What I discovered shook me to my core. Each room held a different aspect of myself I'd been afraid to acknowledge. The dusty library represented my abandoned love of writing. The locked studio contained my unexpressed creativity. The basement, the one I'd always avoided in my dreams, held my deepest fears about failure and inadequacy. But here's what Jung discovered that changes everything. These shadow aspects of ourselves aren't our enemies. They're actually the key to our transformation. Think about the most inspiring people you know. They're not inspiring because they're perfect. They're inspiring because they've embraced both their light and their darkness. They've integrated all parts of themselves into something whole and authentic. Take Jung's most famous patient, a brilliant scientist who was struggling with severe depression. His conscious mind told him he should be happy. He had career success, a family, everything society said he should want. But his unconscious kept sending him messages through dreams of being trapped in ice. When he finally understood what these dreams were telling him, that he'd frozen his emotional life in pursuit of rational success, everything changed. He didn't abandon his scientific career. Instead, he integrated his emotional side, becoming not just a better scientist, but a more complete human being. Your unconscious isn't trying to derail your life. It's trying to make you whole. Those aspects of yourself you've been trying to hide or fix, they might actually be the missing pieces you need to become who you're meant to be. Every fear, every self-doubt, every irrational impulse is potentially a message pointing you toward your true path. But here's what makes this understanding so powerful, and what leads us to the most crucial revelation of all about how your unconscious shapes your destiny. Now we arrive at the most profound truth Jung discovered about the unconscious mind, one that completely transforms how you'll understand your life's purpose. Your unconscious isn't just sending you random messages or trying to solve isolated problems. It's actually revealing a map of your destiny, piece by piece, drawing you toward what Jung called your individuation. Think back to every significant choice you've made in your life. Those moments when you felt inexplicably drawn toward a certain path, even when it didn't make logical sense. The relationships that transformed you. The challenges that seemed to break you, but actually remade you. Your unconscious mind was orchestrating all of it, trying to guide you toward becoming your complete, authentic self. Jung discovered something revolutionary. Your destiny isn't something external you need to find. It's already within you, encoded in your unconscious mind. Every dream, every synchronicity, every emotional response is part of a larger pattern, a story your psyche is trying to tell you about who you're meant to become. But here's the truly transformative part. Once you understand this, everything changes. Those parts of yourself you've been fighting against, they're not obstacles to your destiny. They're essential parts of it. That sensitivity you've tried to hide might be meant to make you a healer. That rebellious streak you've tried to suppress might be meant to make you an innovator. Even your wounds and struggles are part of the pattern, shaping you for a unique purpose that only you can fulfill. Your unconscious mind isn't just a storage space for repressed memories or unwanted emotions. It's the architect of your becoming. It knows who you could be before you do. It sees the full pattern of your life when you can only see fragments. And it's constantly trying to guide you toward that fuller, more authentic expression of yourself. This is what Jung meant when he said that the privilege of a lifetime is becoming who you truly are. Your destiny isn't about reaching some external goal or meeting society's expectations. It's about allowing yourself to be shaped by the wisdom of your unconscious mind, trusting the deeper pattern it's revealing to you. So how do you begin this profound journey of working with your unconscious mind? The beautiful thing about Jung's discoveries is that they're accessible to everyone. You don't need special training or abilities. You just need to start paying attention in a new way. First, start keeping a dream journal. Every morning before your conscious mind fully takes over, write down whatever you remember from your dreams. Don't worry about interpreting them at first. Just record the images, feelings, and symbols. Over time, you'll start noticing patterns and recurring themes. These are your unconscious mind's first attempts at communication. Think of this like learning a new language. At first, you might only catch a word or phrase here and there, but gradually you'll begin to understand more complex messages. Those recurring symbols in your dreams, they're words in your personal unconscious dictionary. That mysterious figure who keeps appearing, they might represent a part of yourself waiting to be acknowledged. Throughout your day, pay attention to those moments when something feels unusually significant. Maybe it's an unexpected emotion, a chance encounter, or a coincidence that seems meaningful. These are what Jung called synchronicities, moments when your unconscious mind is trying to get your attention through external events. Remember the scientist from earlier who solved his chemical formula through a dream? He didn't just passively wait for answers. He actively engaged with his unconscious through what Jung called active imagination. Try this yourself. Find a quiet moment, close your eyes, and imagine entering into dialogue with different parts of yourself. What would your fear say if it could speak? What about your creativity, your ambition, your doubt? Most importantly, start treating your unconscious mind as an ally rather than an enemy. Those seemingly irrational impulses, those unexpected emotions, those dreams that don't make logical sense, they're not disruptions to be suppressed. They're messages to be understood, guiding you toward your authentic path. As you begin this journey, remember that becoming who you truly are is the greatest gift you can give to the world. Your unconscious isn't just shaping your personal destiny, it's guiding you toward the unique way you're meant to contribute to the larger human story. Looking back at where we started, those whispers from your unconscious mind aren't just random noise. They're the voice of your deeper self, trying to guide you home. Every dream, every synchronicity, every emotional response is part of a sophisticated guidance system, helping you become who you're meant to be. So tonight, when you go to sleep, know that your unconscious mind is working tirelessly to show you your path. And tomorrow, when you wake up, try looking at your life through this new lens. What messages have you been missing? What parts of yourself have you been ignoring? What destiny has been trying to emerge? Because the truth is, your unconscious mind isn't just shaping your destiny, it's inviting you to consciously participate in your own becoming. And that journey of becoming who you truly are, that's the greatest adventure any of us can undertake. Thank you for joining me on this exploration of Jung's profound insights. If this video has resonated with you, consider subscribing for more deep dives into the wisdom that can transform our lives. Until next time, keep listening to those whispers from your unconscious. They're trying to lead you home.